What's going on, everybody? Iconic Wally here, and I've got a new series. I guess I could call it a series that I'm starting. And basically, in this series, I'm just going to talk about my college experience. This is the last semester I have, so I kind of want to remember it a little bit by just going over stuff. Maybe a little bit about little stories about what I did back in my 4 year experience, why I took time off, that kind of stuff. But today, I'm just going to do short and sweet. This is the end of my first week, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I'm going to tell you the things that I don't like about class, pretty much. And then at the end of this commentary, I'm also going to talk about the East Coast versus West Coast platoon that's starting up. If any of you guys want to participate in that, I will have a link to the platoon in the description below. Basically, I don't know how they're doing it. I think they're doing a randomized selection or first come first serve kind of idea, but it's basically just an all-star game, kind of like the NBA. They're going to have East Coast guys and West Coast guys play, and if you're in the middle, I think they randomize you, and then you pick a number or something, and then you're put on a certain team. So that's how they're doing that. But I want to get into it. All right, the first thing I hate about college is parking. All right, so you have two choices generally. Depends on your class. If you have morning classes, like I used to have, parking would always work like this. You had to leave. If your class was at 10, and you live like me, 30 minutes away, general time, right? 30 minutes away from your campus. Okay, you have to leave at least an hour before class starts, because you got to take 30 minutes to drive, and then you need that extra 30 minutes to find a spot. It's not close to your class. I'm not even talking about like being within a 5-minute walking distance. I'm talking like a 10-minute walking distance from your class. It's ridiculous where I go. And then if you obviously want to get closer than that, where you can like sit in your car and I guess twiddle your thumbs for an hour, then you leave earlier than that. That's one thing. Parking sucks. You got to choose between obviously getting there early or getting there kind of late-ish, I guess, depending on your spot, and walking about a mile to your class. You park in a residential zone, not even on campus. So why you would buy a parking pass at all is beyond me, because half the time when I park, I don't even park in the campus zone. I park on residential, and you still can get ticketed there, because obviously people who live by their houses don't want college kids parking next to their homes. I mean, I understand that. That makes sense to me. That happened back at the UCI that I went to. I lived in an apartment complex, and I live probably about 10 minutes away from school, and if you wanted a bike, it was like 20 minutes. It wasn't too bad. And there would always be kids that would park there and then leave their cars there so they wouldn't have to pay, and then either start walking or catch a bike or something, or the bus. There was a bus stop that could take you there. So there was a bunch of things. I kind of understand that. Like, the parking thing is always an issue, and they charge ridiculous amounts of money for parking. I got ticketed last year for not having a front license plate, which is a joke. Let me tell you about that. That's just a joke. That's just them being like, well, we can't ticket him for having a parking pass because he obviously has one. So let's see. What? Oh, he doesn't have a front license plate. That's a $100 ticket right there. Right there, $100. We got him good. And I went in there to fight that one, and I was like, look, I can't put a front. I don't have my front license plate on. I've been talking to the DMV, and they're going to send me one in a week. And I have the paperwork right here. And of course the guy's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to keep the ticket because, well, the paperwork says that you can still be ticketed, even though it doesn't say that on the paperwork. I was pretty frustrated, suffice to say. That's the one thing. Parking is always a bitch. And when you do get taking parking tickets, and I've gotten more than I can count, enough to buy 3 Xbox Ones, I could say, in parking tickets. They charge too much. It's just ridiculous. Like, parking tickets should be like $5 tickets. Like, oh, they're a nuisance, but they shouldn't, cost you your arm to pay them back. And that's what college is. And college is already super expensive anyway. Even community college that I go to, it's like $500 to register for classes, all the registration, health insurance, all that stuff. And then the books, I mean, I'm only taking 2 classes, thank God, but my communications book, my speech book, is maybe like 100 pages paperback, maybe at most, and it's $100. Like, I'm paying $1 a page. I don't even know what the price of my stat book is, but I can guarantee you it's gonna be like $200 easily $200. So generally, and that's at the bookstore. Generally, I always buy online, get my school books late. I'm never the kid who always has school books the first day, because I just not about to spend that kind of money. No one is. No one in their right mind would do that. It's smarter just to buy used offline, off Amazon, or used tech books or whatever. So that's the one thing that I really hate, and obviously they're not going to change it because that's the way at least community colleges and colleges make their money, not just by obviously paying you, making you pay about $1 billion, but they also get you with parking tickets and book fees. And if you're living on campus, they get you with that too, housing, and then a food plan, all sorts of dumb stuff, right? Nothing's free in life, and college definitely exemplifies that. There's absolutely nothing free except for the occasional frat sorority thing where they provide food because they want you to check out their group. That's different. I always went to those at the 4 year because I didn't want to join. I never joined a frat. Obviously, I can't join a sorority, but I went there for the free food because they just handed out food. Like, yeah, hey, come check out our frat, man. You know, here's some free food, and I'm like, oh, hey, I don't care what you're selling, but I care about the free food. So yeah, I'll stick around, whatever, and just eat my food, and then I would just peace out. Be like, thanks for your food, man, hospitality, but your fraternity is not really for me. Sorry. Yeah, it's kind of a dick way to do it, but you got to be ruthless out there. I mean, when you're on your own in college, like when I was on my own in college, I got about $1,000 a month from financial aid scholarship, and my rent was about $500 roughly, everything included, and then I had to drop about another $200-300 on living expenses like food, internet, school necessities, stuff like that, and then I had maybe like $100 spending change at the end of every month, which was not bad. I mean, I'm not saying it was bad, but it was pretty rough. It wasn't like, I had to put that money away and I couldn't touch it, that kind of thing. So it was definitely pretty rough. But that's the one thing that gets me the most about college is the parking tickets, the parking itself, and the fact that it's just way too expensive. It should be much, much cheaper, in my opinion. In a perfect world, I think schooling should cost you nothing. It should be completely free. And I know, like, Triggs, if he's listening to this, he's probably going to freak out. Like, what else do you want for free? But honestly, I think education is probably it's paramount for everybody. Everyone should have a good education, and it shouldn't be expensive. Like, you should be able to get a good education for a relatively cheap price. I think that's the best way to do it. And obviously, public schools you don't pay at all. College you got to pay for regardless. And then if you want to go to like a state school or a UC, generally UCs are incredibly expensive. And then state schools are less so expensive because they're subsidized by the state, that kind of thing. So that's definitely a plus. But that's pretty much it for that end. And about the East Coast versus West Coast thing, I think it's first come, first serve. So if you guys want to be in there, if you guys want to check it out, please do. I'll have a link in the description. I don't know how it's going to work. I know they are splitting up East and West Coast, and I think it's an all-star game. But as far as the details, I don't know. So check it out if you got the time. And as always, I appreciate you guys coming in here, checking out the streams. I love your guys' support. That'll do it for me. I love you guys. I'm out of here. Peace.